The NHL buyout window is officially open, and we have our first buyout of the offseason to discuss with the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll discuss how it will impact their salary cap situation and other names to keep an eye on in the coming days coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have our first NHL buyout of the offseason, and it's the Chicago Blackhawks announcing they've placed veteran defenseman TJ Brodie on unconditional waivers for the purpose of contract buyout. So, of course, we know the buyout window is open. It will be open for a number of days here, and teams will have the option to do these buyouts. Now, some teams are pursuing the trade route first before they go down this road. Obviously, if they're able to conduct a trade and move the full salary or even retain less than it would cost them on a buyout, then they have to explore those options first. It only makes good financial sense from a cap management perspective. Now, TJ Brodie of the Chicago Blackhawks had 1 year left on his contract at $3.75 million. Largely, most people agree that last year for Brodie in Chicago was really not very good at all. It was a bit of a disaster, in fact, by most people's accounts that followed him closely, and it was a given that he was going to be going down this path. Of course, this is more about kind of, just getting out of the contract and freeing up a roster spot as it is anything else, because they're not really getting back that much cap space. The cap at 375, it's only going to drop to 3.23. So they're only getting like $500,000 really relief there. Next year, they'll have a cap hit of $258,000 as well, which really isn't a big deal. So this is really more about just eliminating the contract and getting him off the books. Obviously, there's even less here of a value if they decided to put him on waivers when the season start and try to put him in the minors. But of course, with a veteran like that, sometimes you don't necessarily want to put them through that either. It's just easier. And there's a lot of debate whether TJ Brodie is going to sign anywhere else or is this the end of the road for him. I mean, by many accounts, he's regarded as a really well-respected veteran. Obviously, his on-ice abilities appear to have diminished here recently. He had a really good run. His best hockey was probably with the Calgary Flames. And then he had a pretty decent run for the most part with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think towards the end with the Leafs, people were starting to notice more of a decline in his game. But for the most part of that tenure, it wasn't too bad. He brought some stability to the defensive zone, both for Calgary and Toronto for a pretty large part of his career. So, great skater, good defensive guy. For the most part, you could argue has had a good run. Is that run over? We'll have to wait and find out. I'm not sure. There's some speculation he might retire, and some speculation that maybe he sees what else is out there first. It's kind of difficult to say. After last year, it's probably fair to say that there might not be a lot of opportunities. And the good thing is, too, he's still going to earn $3.2 million this year. So I would suspect if he does get a contract, if somebody wants to take a chance on him at league minimum, he's probably going to go for something cheap anyways if he does decide to continue playing, if there's an opportunity that he likes and that makes sense for him. So we have our first buyout of the season. That's how it impacts the cap. That's how it impacts the player. There's going to be other names here to watch. We put out a video back about a week or so ago looking at some of the top buyout candidates around. Obviously, like I said, some of these players are going to be looking at the trade market first with their teams to see if there's other opportunities, like Matt Dumba in Dallas is a prime one. There is some belief that there is a bit of a trade market for him, so maybe he gets moved. I know there's some talk about Philip Grubauer in Seattle. Some think that there's a chance Jesperi Kotkaniemi could be bought out in Carolina. Obviously, when you're under the age of 26, it's a 1/3 buyout. So it's a lot cheaper again than some of the older players. When you're over the age of 26, it's a 2/3 buyout. So, ultimately, sometimes a 2/3 buyout is still beneficial, but a 1/3 buyout, you almost always come out way ahead. So there's a number of other players around the league right now that are going to be kind of possibly be waiting around to see what happens. But obviously the trade market will be the first preferential route to take. So let me know your thoughts on the Blackhawks and Brodie. Will he continue playing? Where could he end up? And let me know some other players you're expecting might go down this route. I know another name that popped up today as a potential buyout candidate that is also on the trade market, but if they don't find a trade that they're considering it, apparently is Buffalo Sabres defenseman Mattias Samuelsson. It wasn't that long ago they gave him a long-term deal looks like they're having regrets here already early into that contract. And again, some of these players that could be 1/3 buyouts, sometimes you got to get out of those contracts before it gets too late into it, or you're going to be in serious trouble. So another name to watch here in the days ahead as well. So let me know your thoughts on this buyout. Other names to watch in the coming days. We'll talk further. There will be another video coming a little bit later as well, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.